The Pittsburgh Steelers are proving something big this season, that they're not just contenders, they're built for domination. After taking down the Cleveland Browns 23-9, the Steelers are sending a message loud and clear to the entire AFC North. We're here to take over. Before we dive into the latest updates and inside news, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit like, and don't forget to press the bell icon so you never miss a single Steelers update. Now, let's move on to the fresh news straight out of Pittsburgh. That win over Cleveland wasn't just another victory, it was a statement. The Steelers controlled the game from start to finish, showing power, discipline, and heart on every play. And as they continue their push in the AFC North, the excitement in Pittsburgh is higher than ever. Now, let's talk about what's next. Head coach Mike Tomlin gave a few key updates after the game. Some good, some tough to hear. He confirmed that Killebrew has suffered a serious knee injury. It's not officially called season-ending yet, but that's what it looks like. And it's tough news, because Miles isn't just a great player. He's one of the locker room's true leaders and a standout on special teams. For the past few years, he's made an impact every season, including multiple blocked punts that changed the momentum of games. Still, this team knows how to handle adversity. They've faced it before, and every time, they've come back even stronger. Stay with me, because what's coming next for the Steelers could surprise everyone. Losing a player like Killebrew is a big blow. His consistency, leadership, and impact on special teams are things you can't easily replace. That phase of the game often goes unnoticed, but it's where real difference makers quietly shine. And Miles has been one of them. If he's out for the season, the Steelers will definitely feel that loss. But there's also good news coming from Coach Mike Tomlin. Everyone else who got shaken up during the game, guys like Joey Porter Jr., Darius, Jalen Ramsey, Brandon Eccles, and Jabril Peppers, seems to be in good shape. None of their names were mentioned in the press conference as serious concerns. It sounds like they'll all be ready to go when the Steelers face the Cincinnati Bengals on Thursday night. So yes, losing Miles hurts, but having the rest of the defense healthy is a massive win for Pittsburgh, especially in the secondary, where depth is everything. If those players had gone down long-term, it could have created some serious problems. But for now, the Steelers are in a strong position. And speaking of strong, let's talk about that ground game. Once again, Pittsburgh showed balance and control on offense, rushing for over 100 yards as a team. Jalen Warren led the way with more than 50 yards, while Kenneth Gainwell stepped up both as a runner and a receiver, 6 catches and 6 carries, showing his versatility. Caleb Johnson and Jonnu Smith chipped in too, rounding out a true team effort. It wasn't flashy, but it was smart, disciplined football, the kind of performance that builds confidence week after week. The biggest transformation we've seen from the Steelers lately is their rushing attack. It finally looks alive. Everything changed the moment they started using those jumbo personnel formations. Suddenly, the offensive line began to dominate, and even the Cleveland Browns, the league's #1 run defense, couldn't hold their ground. Spencer Anderson and Darnell Washington were outstanding, especially on the edges. The Steelers didn't need any flashy 40-yard breakaways. Instead, they punished Cleveland with steady, physical runs, 6, 7, even 10 yards at a time. Every carry felt like a statement. This is our game, and we're taking control of it. That kind of old-school, ground-and-pound football is exactly what defines the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's how they want to play when the stakes rise in January. Tough, physical, and relentless. And here's the best part. They just ran for over 100 yards against the best run defense in the NFL. If you can run on the Browns, you can run on anyone. This new offensive identity didn't appear overnight. Credit goes to Arthur Smith and the coaching staff for recognizing what works, bringing in jumbo sets, trusting the big men up front, and letting their backs go to work. It's the kind of smart adjustment great teams make mid-season. And it's not just the offense that deserves praise. The Steelers' run defense has been just as dominant lately, 3 straight games of shutting down opposing ground attacks. After struggling early in the year, the team made key changes. Keanu Benton was getting pushed around in those first few weeks, but now Daniel Archibong has stepped in at nose tackle and quietly played a massive role in stopping the run. Cleveland tried everything, pounding the ball with Judkins, mixing in Jerome Ford and Dylan Sampson, but it didn't matter. The Steelers' defense slammed the door shut every time. This is the kind of balance and toughness that turns good teams into serious contenders. The Cleveland Browns came in hoping to control the game with balance, but that plan fell apart fast. Their quarterback, Dylan Gabriel, threw the ball far more than he wanted to. And when a team is forced to rely on passing that much against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, you know things aren't going their way. Gabriel is a solid player, a good game manager, but not the kind of quarterback who can single-handedly carry a team to victory against a defense this aggressive. Pittsburgh's defense had him right where they wanted him, under pressure, throwing off balance, and unable to find rhythm. The run defense was once again rock solid. If the Steelers can keep playing this way, they're not just going to be good. They'll be one of the toughest run-stopping units in the entire NFL. After the game, something unexpected stood out. Aaron Rodgers took a moment to publicly praise Jalen Ramsey. Rodgers talked about how most players, when they see two games coming close together, a Sunday and a Thursday, choose to sit out if they're not fully healthy. But Ramsey wasn't one of them. Despite not being at 100%, he fought to get ready, stepped on that field, and gave everything he had. That's the kind of dedication every team dreams of, and Rodgers acknowledging it showed real leadership. It broke all the tired narratives about him, that he's selfish or disconnected from teammates. This was a captain recognizing the grind and heart of a fellow warrior. And for Jalen Ramsey, it was a moment of pure redemption. He's been labeled, doubted, and criticized for years, people calling him a bad teammate, saying he only cares about himself. Yet, this week, when everyone expected him to sit out, Ramsey did the opposite. He suited up, played through pain, and delivered the first two-sack game of his entire career. That's not just toughness, that's character. And he earned every bit of the praise coming his way. Meanwhile, Caleb Johnson also made the most of his opportunities. Coach Mike Tomlin mentioned that Johnson earned his touches through hard work and practice, and it showed. Matching Kenneth Gainwell in carries, he proved he's ready to contribute whenever his name is called. This was the kind of team performance that reminds you, the Steelers don't just play football, they embody it. Even though Caleb Johnson is technically the third running back in the rotation, the Steelers are clearly committed to keeping all three backs involved. That's a sign of smart coaching, fresh legs, more variety, and constant pressure on defenses that never get a chance to breathe. But let's shift the spotlight for a moment, because Nick Herbig deserves every ounce of it. I went back and rewatched the game, and honestly, I didn't give him enough credit the first time. Herbig was an absolute force. He was in the backfield all game, collapsing the pocket, forcing bad throws, and giving his teammates opportunities to make plays. Some fans have even started asking, is Nick Herbig the best edge rusher on this team? That's a bold statement when you're lining up next to TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith. Now, let's be real. TJ Watt is still the engine of this defense. He draws constant double teams and chip blocks, and that's what frees up Herbig to take advantage of one-on-one situations. But the fact that Herbig is capitalizing on those chances so effectively says a lot about his growth. If their roles were reversed, if TJ got those same single looks, there wouldn't even be a comparison. Still, when you look at the overall picture, this Steelers defense is scary. Watt, Herbig, and Highsmith together form the most dangerous pass-rushing trio in football right now. Combine that with the pressure coming from inside and the creative blitzes we've seen from Mike Tomlin and Terrell Austin, and this defense looks like a nightmare for any quarterback in the league. Of course, even in a big win, there are things to clean up. The Steelers delivered their most complete performance of the season, offense and defense both clicking, but perfection doesn't exist in football. There are still small details to tighten, mistakes to fix, and moments they'll want back when they watch the film. And that's what makes this team dangerous, because even when they play their best, they're already looking for ways to be better. Today was, without question, the toughest day of the year for this Steelers defense, and honestly, for the whole team. Penalties were the story. 10 flags. 59 yards. That's a lot of mistakes for a team that usually plays sharp, disciplined football. Even Coach Mike Tomlin mentioned it after the game. You can't expect to win when you beat yourself like that. Unless you completely dominate both sides of the ball, those penalties will always come back to haunt you. What's crazy is that before this game, the Steelers were actually ranked as the least penalized team in the league. But today, that streak snapped hard. Most of them were simple mistakes, lining up offside, unnecessary penalties. Things you just don't expect from this group. Hopefully, they clean that up before their short week ahead. Now, about that defense. Yes, there were a few missed chances. Honestly, it felt like there could have been 4, maybe even 6 interceptions out there. The ball was in the air, tipped a few times, bad throws from Dillon Gabriel, but they just couldn't finish the plays. Still, that doesn't mean this defense has lost its spark. Far from it. They were right there, forcing bad decisions and putting pressure on the quarterback. They just didn't capitalize. And usually, this team does. So don't worry, those turnovers will start showing up again soon. And finally, the wide receiver room. It might be time to bring in some extra help. Not before the Cincinnati game. That's too quick of a turnaround, but maybe after that. Guys like Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, or even Jacoby Myers could be interesting options if the front office wants to make a move. Because right now, DK Metcalf is doing everything he can. 4 touchdowns in 5 games, he's been electric. But if this team wants to make a real push, adding one more reliable weapon could make all the difference. There were a few bright spots in the passing game today. Darnell Washington made some nice plays, and Pat Freiermuth came up with a solid catch, even if it was just one. Jonnu Smith added a share too, and the running backs did a great job helping in the passing game, something we've seen from them all season. But the wide receiver situation is starting to feel a little thin. With Calvin Austin 3 out, the responsibility fell to Scotty Miller and Roman Wilson, and together, they had just one target. Roman made the most of his chance, converting it into a first down, but still, one target between 2 receivers isn't enough. Part of that comes down to matchups. Denzel Ward was on them for most of the game, and DK Metcalf drew Tyson Campbell, both tough assignments. Maybe the quarterback just didn't see enough favorable looks. Still, it's concerning when only one wideout is consistently getting the ball. That's why it feels like the Steelers could really use another receiver, someone reliable who can stretch the field alongside Metcalf and Calvin Austin when he returns. Adding a proven veteran would give this offense a new layer of confidence, especially in those spread formations where the team's been struggling to move the ball. The heavy sets with extra tight ends have worked great, no doubt about it. But when Pittsburgh has to open things up, they just don't have enough weapons who can consistently win one-on-one battles. One more steady receiver could completely change that dynamic. And it seems the team knows it too. There's growing talk around the league that the Steelers might be exploring options to strengthen their roster before the trade deadline, and wide receiver feels like the top priority. If they pull it off, this offense could look a lot more dangerous in the weeks ahead. Because with the way this defense is performing, all they need is a little more firepower to start turning solid wins into statement victories.